Hey, what's up? Who won American Idol 2020? You guys ready? If you haven't seen it yet, if you don't know, you did. Say what? Yes, you won American Idol 2020 if you learned from it like I did. All right, listen, some of you are like, oh, what's going on? I want to know about American Idol. Listen, I'm going to teach you some things about American Idol that some of you have never seen before, and it's going to change your life like it did mine, all right? If you're new here, welcome. My name is Brian Wood. This is my channel. So excited that you are watching this. Would love for you to share, comment, make sure you subscribe while you're here as well. But listen, I'm begging you, stay to the end with this, okay? I promise you, if you will open your eyes and see the things that I saw this year in American Idol, it will give you a fresh perspective and it will impact your life and add value. All right, you guys ready? Let's go. All right, guys, here we go. Hey, listen, I got to give credit where credit is due. If you don't know, you haven't watched American Idol, you don't know what's going on, you missed the finale, Just Sam won. Congratulations, huge congratulations to you, Just Sam. If by chance you're watching this, who knows? But anyways, man, I want to give credit and honor where it's due. What a huge, huge accomplishment. But hey, listen, there are two major things that I saw, that I learned, that I gained from with American Idol this year, and I want to teach them to you. All right? The first one is simple. Adaptability. Adaptability. Listen, we have been in a season, at the time of this recorded, we are still going through the process of COVID-19 and quarantine, and we have all learned to adapt. We have had to change things, shift things, do things differently. Some things we got rid of, some things we continued doing, some things we just completely shifted. And so we've all learned to adapt. But there's also, and I would almost bet if I was a betting man, that if you look back over recent weeks, months, there are things that you have allowed to die, if you will, in your life or your business or your whatever it may be, because you didn't see a way to be able to adapt what you were doing into something that you were going to have to do for it to continue to work in this season. You've got to learn to adapt. So American Idol, it's regardless of what you want to say, I'm not here to talk about American Idol in any negative aspect. It's still reality TV, all right? But it is a show that my family and I get to watch together. Like, I love being able to sit down with my kids. We all have different flavors and tastes of what we like. I don't even watch a lot of TV. But this is one show that actually brings us all together. And so I've always been a fan of it. And so we watch it together. And I love the first part better than I do the second part. Just seeing everybody audition and in different places. And so we're watching American Idol this year. We're watching all the different cities and the auditions, and we're getting to Hollywood week. And I remember looking at my wife and I said, look, this is it. Like, this show is gonna end. There's no way that in the middle of COVID-19 pandemic, in the middle of quarantine, that the show is going to be able to continue. Like, they're going to play what has been previously recorded, and they're going to air that, which were the auditions, Hollywood Week, etc. But when we get into live performances and live voting from America, they're not going to be able to do it. I was like, I'm very interested to see what is going to happen with American Idol in 2020. And lo and behold, I'm researching, I'm Googling, I'm like, what's going to happen with American Idol? And they adapted. They came up with a 2-week programming to where they were just going to tell the stories, tell the lives, and allow you to get to know their top 20 contestants a little more. And so I'm like, okay, I'll see what you did there, whether it was intentional, like this was part of the plan after they adapted, or whether they were trying to buy more time until they figured it out. Regardless, they adapted. And so we're watching that for 2 weeks. And then I remember seeing them say, hey, listen, the show's going to go on, and we're going to do live performances from people's homes. And I'm like, there is no way that you're going to be able to pull this off. And they did. And so here's what I want you to hear. There are things in your life to where you think you can't adapt, you can't change, and you've got to be able to figure, how can I think outside of the box? How can I unlearn what I've learned so that I can relearn how to put this thing into motion? And there are things that we have allowed to die, or that we've quit on, or that we've given up on because we didn't see a way to adapt. And don't get me wrong, there are certain things that will never survive or live in a season like this. But there are other things that, because we chose to not think outside of the box, to realign, to refocus, to get a different perspective on it, to figure out how can I accomplish the same goal but make it look totally different. That's exactly what American Idol did. They continued their whole season, but they made it look totally different. Like I've been like, how in the world are you going to produce music to where America can vote by having people set up in their garage? And you know what? They did it. They adapted. And so here on my channel, I believe that you are a leader. I believe that everybody is a leader. Some of us are in different positions. We have different titles. But listen, there is something in your life, whether it's personal, whether it's your job, whether it's the people that you are leading or teaching or guiding, whether it's your business, whether you are a CEO or just got hired. Listen, there are things that you've got to learn to adapt. And you can't just throw in the towel and say, oh, that's it. Like, if you can learn to adapt in any and every situation, you will become not just a good leader, not just a leader, but a great leader. These are the things that separate good from great. And so, what are things that you can adapt to? All right, so adaptability. The second and the final one, this is my favorite. This has literally changed my life, and I mean it. And I've always known it, but I had this like aha moment watching American Idol, and it's this: story is king. Story is king. Listen, I know that, okay? I'm a communicator for a living. I know that stories are important. Stories are valuable. Stories are effective. But I just didn't understand fully what I understand now, and I'm still going through it. Story is king. Do you know how Just Sam won? Okay, listen, Just Sam has a beautiful voice, a talented young lady, and I'm not taking that away from her. But if you want my personal opinion, I don't think that Just Sam was the absolute best vocalist out of the top 10, maybe top 20. Like, I think there were better vocalists and performers all the way around who were better than her. But you know what happened? America got sucked into her story, and it's not a bad thing. Like, how many times did you hear Sam's story? What was Sam's story? Just Sam. She was a Subway singer, right? There was actually a documentary before American Idol even came out that I found called Underground Sam. But they talked about her singing in the subway and making a living. They talked about her being adopted by her grandmother because her mom was in and out of prison. They showed that on the Mother's Day episode. They, in one moment in Hollywood Week, Sam is performing, and she brings her subway box, like the box that she takes on the subway with her to get her tips. She brings it with her. She sits it down. The judges get up after her performance and put money in it. And then at the end, she holds this box up in the interview, the post-performance interview, and says, I'm done. My Subway career is over. Like, she's showing this twist, like this movement, this transition in her story from I'm no longer a Subway singer to I'm about to be an American Idol. And she goes on, and American Idol uses her story to draw you in. And if you think about it, if you say, okay, I get it, yeah, they used her story, but I'm not convinced. Listen, think about your top 10 contestants in American Idol, okay? I'll just give you a few. I'll just give you a few of how story is king, all right? Think about Johnny West, okay? What was Johnny West's story? He shows up at this audition with his girlfriend, Margie May, or whatever thing she did last year. She was on American Idol last year. She made it through Hollywood Week, made it to Hawaii, but didn't get into the top 20 or 24. I don't remember what it was last year. But the boyfriend auditions, Margie May doesn't even make it through Hollywood Week, and he continues. Like, they are using that story to draw you into Johnny's life. And I didn't think Johnny West was a great singer at all. Just personal opinion, okay? Dylan James, he was the guy that was all tatted up, long hair, Mr. Casanova. Man, what a story. And I love his story because he found Jesus. Jesus found him, whatever you believe in. Like, he has a relationship with Jesus and his life was changed. Why? He was a drug addict. He was this just rambling man living this rambunctious life, strung out, lost his purpose, lost desire, and enters into a relationship with Jesus, and his whole life is changing. They keep using that story, which I was so happy and loving to hear. Arthur Gunn, a story. He's from Nepal. Like, he doesn't even really speak clear English, but has, this ridiculous talent. And now he's here living the quote-unquote American dream. They're using that story over and over. Lewis Knight, okay? He's the guy whose friend took his own life. They use that story. And I'm not saying that, they're using that story to manipulate you. They're using stories to draw you into their lives so that they can make an impact on you. Guys, story is king. And as a communicator, I'm a pastor. If you are new to my channel and you don't know, I know how valuable it is. My goal when I get up is to be able to tell a story, to bring you into it so that I can speak what I want to speak into your life. If I can bring you in and captivate you and then make you the hero, like to put you in the middle of that story, I can say things that are going to help you. You come with this open mind, open heart, open eyes because you're in the middle of the story. And so story is king. And so you're like, okay, cool, I get it. Like, think about Just Sam's story, okay? What did American Idol, what did they do and what did they do so well? You know what they did? Just Sam's story really wasn't all about her. Obviously the story was, but the intention of playing her story and sharing her story, the focus wasn't necessarily about her. It was about you and me. And it was bringing us into her story so that we would vote. And guess who the hero is? We are. Why? Because we get to vote. We get to get captivated by a story, live in the middle of it, and say, you know what? I'm going to vote for her. I am going to help make her an American Idol because I'm in her story. Man, story is king. And so you say, okay, cool, American Idol, get it, got it, Hollywood production. How does that apply to simple life? How does that apply to me at home? I'll give you three. I'll give you personal, I'll give you business, and I'll give you spiritual, okay? Personal. If you're a parent, guess what? You use story to lead and to teach and to guide your kids. I can't tell you how many nights my 4-year-old doesn't want to go to bed, or he's laying down and I've given him a little bit of screen time, and I tell him, okay, it's time to get off your tablet, let's go to bed, and he throws a fit. And most times, not all the time, I can say, hey buddy, listen, let me tell you a story. And I can tell him some story about my life, or I can just make up a story. And all of a sudden, I've captivated him. And then I can ask him, like, what do you think about that story? What would you have done in that moment? And I have reeled him in with the story because story is king. And now I'm using it to teach. I'm using it to guide him and to kind of control his behavior. Again, I'm not trying to manipulate. I'm not saying use your story and manipulate everybody. But it's a way to use it. It's a tool to be able to captivate people's attention to where you can teach and guide and lead how you want. One of my good friends, I called him up the other day. He's one of my really good friends. And I needed to make a decision. And in my heart, I kind of had already made up my mind. I just wanted an extra voice. And so I wasn't trying to manipulate or use him. But I called him up and said, hey bro, listen, here's a decision that I need to make. What's your opinion? Like, what do you think? And he ended up kind of somewhat agreeing with me and not agreeing with me. But when he got off the phone, he told me this a couple hours later. He's like, I just got. I was like, what? He was like, you just got me, bro. Like, he's like, you just called me already knowing what you were going to do, and you reeled me into your story by asking me what I thought, and now I'm in the middle of where you want me, and you still made the decision. Again, I'm not saying I did that on purpose to manipulate him, but that is how powerful story is. Use it in your personal life to teach and lead people. Business world. Listen, if you run a business, if you are a CEO, if you own a nonprofit, whatever it may be, listen, you are not your own hero. You are not your own hero. You tell story so that you can make your customer the hero of what is happening. You have to solve a problem. You are the solution to their problem. And therefore, you're helping them be the hero of their own story. A couple years ago at the church that I work at, we brought in a guy by the name of Josh Taylor, who's a friend of mine, and he is a part of Donald Miller's Story Brand. If you've never read Story Brand, I would challenge you to read it. But we brought him in, and he helped kind of explain, like, how can we operate as an organization, as a church, in order to use story to help people, to guide people, to coach people, and ultimately to lead people to Christ. And it was absolutely astounding. Actually, I would love for you to reach out to him. He would love to help you. I'm going to put his link and kind of Facebook profile, his business profile, in the notes below. But like, if you're a business owner or a church leader or a ministry leader, or you just want to learn more about what story is and Story Brand, like, I would challenge you to reach out to him. It's a game changer. And so, as a business, what story are you telling to help solve problems for other people? You are the solution, and you're making them the hero. If it's all about you, then you're messing it all up. It's not about you, it's about them. And so personal, then business, and then the spiritual part. And this one gets a little bit challenging when it comes to Story Brand, because you're no longer trying to make them the hero or you the hero. Listen, Jesus is the hero, okay? But if you're a believer and you're following Christ and Jesus is in you, the way that you live your life is not for yourself anyway. The Bible talks about dying to yourself and carrying your cross and living for Him. To die is gain. And so when you're following Christ, you're living in a way that Jesus is the hero of your life. And so I love being able to tell story, not just on stage, on a platform, just in normal conversation. And I talk to teenagers all the time who are so afraid to share the gospel. I don't know enough Bible. I don't know enough answers. I'm like, bro, just tell your story. Are you a believer? Are you following Jesus? Then just tell your story. Because guess what? The hero is going to be Jesus coming out of you, and they're going to see that the problem that they're having, Jesus is the solution to that, and Jesus gets to be the hero in their life. And it's so powerful. Like, story is king. And oh my gosh, I learned that so much more than I ever have in American Idol. And so I believe that if you take those two things, adaptability and story is king, not only is Just Sam the winner of American Idol, you are the winner of American Idol. I hope that this has added value to your life. Man, I love doing this. I really do. And so it would mean so much if you would subscribe below, share, comment, whatever you got. Here on this channel, we believe that you are a leader, and we choose Jesus over everything. Thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time.